Now that we've talked about groups, we've got to talk about presets or palettes. Now, no matter what your lighting console or software calls them, presets or palettes are the next step in programming after you select your lights. And like everything we're covering in this console section, it really makes sense to understand what's going on and to get this stuff right so that you can create a really interesting show. So let us go ahead and start with an example. If you are new here, by the way, be sure to go ahead, subscribe here on YouTube, and click the bell so you get all of the latest stuff. Awesome. Now I want to turn everything blue. And I want to do this as an example to show you how presets work. Now, we can see here, if we're looking at all of our lights here, actually I'm going to turn off this mid stage again because it just makes things more confusing. But if we look at all of our lights on a straight up blue, we can see here that they don't quite match. And this can happen in your show. Now, to step back a little bit, how do we fix this? Well, if you program the color blue into a bunch of different cues, for example, maybe all, 50 of these cues that are here all have the color blue in them. They don't, but let's pretend they did. How would you go to fix it when they don't match? What would you do to make it work? Well, I'm going to show you right here the power of presets or palettes. And a lot of lighting consoles have these. Some do, some don't. It's generally more advanced software, but if you don't use them because they are technically optional, you might lose yourself a bunch of time, okay? And the reason why is that presets or palettes are information about our lights, usually about intensity, focus, color, or beam. Hey, we've talked about that before. And it's information about our lights that we can use to build cues later, which are the things that we play back. We'll talk about that in a minute on our next video. And so what we want to do is when we're building our cues, we want to do everything through presets. So literally, before I'd gone in, I built all these groups, right? We want to do everything through groups. And then if we're a color, we also want to do it through a preset, okay? Like we have here. Now, if you get to a gig and maybe you've got some different lights on this show or you cloned something in or something like that, and some of the blue doesn't quite match. Like I see here, these wash lights, they do not match the rest. So let me go ahead and just select those wash lights. Okay, I've got them selected. And so now I can just go in, and this is incredible. And if I update that preset, every cue that I update with that preset's going to match. So let's say to make a match, we maybe add a little bit of green to them. And that makes it a little bit less purple. We can see here, actually, let me go ahead and toggle this before and after. You see a little more purple, a little more green. A little more green seems to match the CMY color mixing wheels from our spots, and it's more of a true blue. So now that I have the color I want, I can simply go ahead to my color presets, go ahead and update my blue color preset, and I'm doing this all in the background because I don't need to be console specific here. And when I clear everything out, like I just did, my lights are going to stay how they were before, or how they were since we changed them. And not only that, but every other place that I use blue, like here's a green-blue set of cues. There's 2 cues in this. And guess what? In one of those cues, these particular wash lights have the blue. Well, that blue just got updated with what I did. Here we've got a cue that's white and blue. Boom, that blue got updated with what we just did. So you get the idea. We'll lean back on blue-violet again. The palettes or presets are super duper important when you're building things for your show. I can't stress it enough. And so be sure to build those whenever you're doing anything, if your console supports it, even if it's just a one-off show, because you never know when you're going to use that show file again or when you're going to need to come back in and modify things. It only takes a second or two more, and it can save you a ton of time. Awesome. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hey, check us out on Patreon. This is a great way for people like you to help support creators like me so I can create more great videos, in-depth tutorials, and things that are going to help you. Plus, By joining us on Patreon, you'll get a say in what we're going to publish next and maybe some other goodies.